Okay, listen, welcome everybody. I've been looking forward to this. I've been chatting to this amazing dude, Mark Strough, for quite a long time now, online, and we haven't actually met face to face over Skype. It's always been by text, and it's so cool to meet up with him. I've
It
followed
is.
his journey. I've listened to interviews with him. He's followed my journey, and we've supported each other and posted on each other's groups. And Mark has a great group called Mark's Health and Nutrition. Mark's Nutrition Group, is it? I
Health and
tell me,
nutritional group,
Mark's
yes.
Health and Nutritional Group.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. He helps so many people out there. And we were just chatting before I hit record here that I think we're so understanding of other people's situation because we've made so many mistakes. If we could do it all over again, we'd probably do things very, very differently. And the people we can help now can get us, we can get them out of the problems
Yeah.
or show them. Let's not say get them out of the problems because what's so good is giving other people back their power. So
That's
to
right.
help them to get themselves out of these problems, which their rheumatologist has told is incurable, and both of us know that it's definitely not. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
welcome, Mark. Lovely to meet you at last.
Glad to be here, Phil. Thank you for inviting me.
So, we've both fixed inflammatory arthritis, and you guys out there have tuned into this, and you might be wondering whether you can do the same. And I think we both agree that you definitely can.
Yeah.
So, how have we done it? Well, my story's out there a lot. Horrible wrong turns through veganism and fasting and losing all my muscle and getting kidney stones and, you know, all of this stuff.
My brother from another mother, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mark, what was roughly your journey? What were a few of the mistakes quickly, and what were your fights with the rheumatologists, and what
Yeah.
did they tell you, and how did you get your confidence back? I have to say, my number one thing to give people is confidence. Because if you don't have confidence, it's possible you keep falling off the wagon because nothing
Yeah.
fixes overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? What was a bit of your journey, and how would you like to kick this off?
I don't know. And we talked about talking about mistakes. I said the podcast would be long enough just on my mistakes, but the mistakes are what make us better if we learn from them. If we learn from other people's mistakes, their experiences. That helps. We learn from our own, and we grow from it. That's good. And maybe that's how it needs to be. It's painful sometimes, but I made almost all the same mistakes you just briefly mentioned. I tried plant based. I tried you know extreme calorie cutting. Everything. Uh, Only thing I got was horrible results when I went more plant based. I got a lot of kidney stones. I had 9 bouts of those. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely terrible. So I think desperation is probably what pushes people to make an extreme choice. And I think Phil knows this as well. I had not anything for health reasons, but in like 1987, 1988, when I was in college, I was powerlifting and I was, the skinny kid that couldn't gain weight or muscle. I get stronger, but I just never could gain the mass. And of course, Vince Gironda was one of my heroes. So that's where I was originally introduced to carnivore. But, at that time, I didn't have any. I mean, I guess it's debatable whether I actually had an autoimmune issue at that time or it just wasn't present when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. But I had turned to it for then. Of course, not the doctors, my coaches and professors were letting me know that I was going to die from lack of vegetables and essential carbohydrates. And I believed them and I stopped. But I actually had good success with doing that as strength gain, muscle gain. It was great. I forayed into it a little bit more in the 90s when I was a bachelor and I was working actually at a meat plant. And it was very easy to consist just on meat when you had it cooked all the time for you, and had great success with that. But again, I wasn't doing it for any kind of health reasons. Um, Probably 2000, somewhere in the mid 2005, 2006, and in that, or up to about 2010, I started getting severe problems with my hands. I was getting all kinds of problems. Let me back up. I had started martial arts when I was 9. So I was born in 69. So anyway, I've been doing it for quite some time. And in the original Vietnamese Kung Fu, we did a lot of breaking boards, breaking concrete, breaking coconuts, anything. So I developed a lot of hand fractures. So I also did boxing, kickboxing, and I developed a lot of boxing fractures. So I had a lot of trauma to my hands already. So I was just dismissing this as just arthritis that I was getting from my breaks, my damage to my hands. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then I was getting where I couldn't even move my thumbs. So the thumbs were, especially on my right thumb here, this was affected the most. They would just lock up. My fingers would lock up. The pain was just intense. Get up in the morning, and this is my routine. You would just do this here, try to get your hands apart so you could move them. And it was almost like my hand had been run over by a car. I mean, it just had that much inflammation and pain. And again, I was dismissing it. I was trying this supplement, that supplement. Some of them maybe helped some. Maybe it was placebo. I don't know. I put up that with years. I tried going plant-based, as we had talked about. I tried doing, extreme calorie restrictions. Nothing really made any difference at all. And I always say it didn't get serious. One of my hobbies is combat pistol shooting. And I'm going to make this very brief, but one of the major things you have to use here is you need to have all your dexterity in your hands, but this thumb is the most critical component of dropping a magazine with your thumb. You have the pistol, you hit a button here, the magazine falls out, you reload it. Well, I got to the point I couldn't do that. Well, you can't be competitive if you can't drop a magazine or anything. So I would actually have to take this hand off, press the button, drop it, and that's 2 extra steps or more, and it was horrible. So then when that happened, I went to my doctor and said, "Hey, I got to get something going on here." And he said, "Well, let's give you this." Gave me an anti-inflammatory. I think it was called Suladak or something, I believe. And I tried that. It didn't make any difference, really. We tried a cortisone. It didn't make much difference. It was painful. And then after, I don't know, a few months of that, he sent me to a rheumatologist. And I went there, and he just verified what my doctor already told me that was going on. And he gave me different options, but none of them really sounded like good options to me, with a lot of side effects too. So I still just kind of put up with it, played around with it. And am I going too long? Is this good, Phil? I don't want to. Okay, good. Okay. So anyway, I just kind of played around with this, with that. I had used some supplements again that seemed like it gave me some success. One of them was a curcumin extract, but I don't know. It seemed like it worked. But again, I have a degree in psychology, and trust me, placebo is the most powerful medicine known to mankind. It really is. And if you believe something is going to work, it has a better chance of actually working. So that may have been part of that. And you get so desperate, you want something to work. So I'm not going to put that out of it. I'm not going to say it wasn't effective, but it wasn't effective enough. And it just kept getting more and more. And it got to the point where this was snapping my fingers was impossible. Yeah, they couldn't do it. I play guitar, not well, but I play guitar. And this here was hard to do, almost impossible. This ring right here, I couldn't get it on or off without 5 minutes of soaking the hand, putting soap or whatever to get it off. So it was just the typical progression. A lady that I knew, she would come in my shop, and I would see her a lot. And I hate to admit this, very sweet lady, and she's passed on now. I didn't really want to see her come in my shop. Why? She was older than me. She was probably 25, 30 years older than me, and I'm friends with her son. And she had crippling rheumatoid arthritis. And I knew what my doctors had told me. And then seeing her, that was going to be me in another 15, 20 years. And she'd come in, her hands, I can't, like this here, just all crippled up. Just pitiful. She would try to get a pen and write. It would just make me sad. And I don't mean that selfishly for me. I was sad for her, but it was sad for me too. I mean, knowing this is going to be my future, and there really wasn't much else I could do. On my journey, and I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. Like I said, I don't want to make this too long, too boring. I had a pretty bad accident in 2009. I have over a 200-acre farm here, and we had a severe ice storm in 2009. Was cutting some trees and lifting, and I had a major injury. It required 2 years later. I tried to see if it would fix itself. It didn't. It got worse, and I had major colorectal surgery. It was very, very, very bad. It was a very low point in my life. I wasn't, for the first time in my life, I was not able to work out. I was not able to do much of anything. I gained a ton of weight. At that point, going back a little bit, I had gained a lot of weight. It was a dirty bulk, if you want to call it that. I usually about 185, 195 is about my maximum weight of muscle I would normally put on. In 2002, 2003, I had a lot of students that I was training. We're doing a lot of grappling, and they were giants. I mean, I don't know what they had in their baby food, but they were giants. And I mean, I had 18, 19-year-old kids that were 225, 235 pounds. And when you do a lot of grappling, I don't care who you are. When you have somebody resting on you, especially in a guard position or whatever, carrying that much weight and you being 50 pounds under them, that's really hard on you. And so I started a bulk, and it wasn't a clean bulk. I hate to say that. It wasn't a clean bulk. I wanted to get mass on. I got up to 220 some pounds, 225, 26 pounds. And I mean, I wasn't fat, but I wasn't cut either. It worked out good for that. It probably wasn't the best thing for my health either. But anyway, when I got injured, I was trapped at that weight, and I was not able to work out. I really wasn't eating the best in the world at that point. And had some other health issues going on besides rheumatoid arthritis and recovering from the surgery. I had a severe concussion from another farm accident. Having a farm is dangerous, folks. Let me tell you that. It is dangerous work. Yeah, just a FYI there. I was teaching a martial arts class again. This is my own fault. I was not where I should have been health-wise, weight-wise. Just going over some Thai boxing drills to actually a kids class. Did a Thai kick, just set my foot down, and my whole left foot, the whole bottom of it, just collapsed. It's the plantar fascialis. Broke the bottom half of my foot. I had a severe injury. Had to wear a boot for 6 months. Anyway, when I went to my doctor, and this wasn't anything to do with arthritis. This is a different doctor. This is a orthopedic surgeon. He gave me some pretty bleak news. And he said, well, we're going to do this. We're going to do heavy physical therapy. We're going to have you, do this here. And, all these things he told me to do to help. And I said, what are the chances of having surgery? He said, well, you're more than likely going to have it. I said, well, doc, I can drop weight. I said, that's not a problem to drop weight. I can drop weight. He said, yeah, it make, every pound of weight you lose, that's like 3 or 4 pounds off the step you take. And he said, yeah, if you want to lose 10, 15 pounds, that'd be great. So I went home, and this is October of 2014, and I knew how to do it. And it was simple. I just went 100% carnivore. And my wife, she's going, what? And she was very anti-meat. I mean, she wasn't a radical vegan or anything like that. She just was not a meat person. And she thought I'd lost my marbles. Well, I went back to the doctor, and it was under 2 months. I went back, and Dr. Lynn was the doctor's name, and he walked in, and he says, Mark, is that you? And I said, yeah. He said, you weren't kidding about dropping weight. How much weight have you lost? I said, oh, I don't know, 60 pounds or so. He was just like, what? Now, let me tell you this. I'll stop there. As a trainer or anybody wanting to lose weight, what I did is not what you want to do to lose weight. Okay, I'm just saying that. I cut calories. I'm not a big calorie cutting fan. I was doing a lot of fasting, a lot of dry fasting. I had experienced all that before, so I wasn't a newbie into that. But generally, if we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to lose fat, keep on the muscle, or gain the muscle. At this point, my equation was I want to lose as much mass as possible. Okay, so don't do what I did. I'm just saying it was not necessarily the best thing for health. But I wanted to avoid surgery, and I did avoid surgery. I had to wear the cast for 6 months, but I did avoid surgery. So that was something that worked there. During that time, and this is where learning from mistakes, when I was doing fasting, I would fast for 2 or 3 days. And in my religion, my Christian religion, we do fasting there. And, it was always harder as a sugar burner. It's hard to do a fast. When you're a carnivore or eating keto, fasting is nothing. I mean, it's nothing. And what Dr. Baker says, it's intermittent feasting, intermittent fasting. I don't call it a fast. I don't care what they call it, but you go a longer period of time without even thinking about it. So what I would notice is when I would fast for especially like 3 days or longer, my inflammation would be almost all gone. My pain would just start dropping. And then I would eat, and guess what? It would come back. Okay, but in 2014, when I had went carnivore, it wasn't coming back. I'm like, wow. Okay, so you would have thought I would have learned right then. No, I didn't. So after I found out I was going to have surgery, and I think it was January of 2015, my wife was still on. I'm sorry, Lori. Sorry, honey. I'm sorry. If you're watching this video, I'm sorry. Great wife. Anyway, she just thought I had to have my vegetables. So on this, so I decided, okay, so my family, my friends don't think I've totally lost my mind. I'm going to add in just a little bit of vegetables. So I added in asparagus. I love asparagus, or I did. Asparagus, a little bit of green beans, broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. Those 5 things were about it. Now, I was eating nuts. Love nuts. So I was eating those. That was it. And I'm talking about maybe 1 or 2 servings every few days. And it was even, later on, it was even less than that. So at that point, I was still having all the arthritis problems. I mean, I don't think it improved much. It may have a little, but not a whole lot. I still wasn't getting the answer. But then I would fast, and guess what? The inflammation would go down, the pain would go down. I would break the fast, it would come back. Well, living on a farm, it's not too uncommon for us just to fire up the outside grill and we'll just have hamburgers or bacon or something. So I know one time I had a pretty intense workout and I had fasted. I went into I like going into workouts fasted. I went into the workout fasted. So you're really drained. If you do a high intensity workout, I mean, you're drained anyway, but when you go into it fasted, it takes it to a whole new hormetic level. And usually my appetite is like that. It's up substantially. And I remember just throwing on burgers and bacon, and that was it. And so I broke it. And then the next day I thought, my fingers don't hurt. I wasn't able to snap my fingers, but I was just like, I can move them. They're not really hurting. I can get my ring on and off. Oh, that's weird. And I did that a few other times, made the connection. But what I was not aware of are plant toxins. I had no clue. Never. I mean, I knew about gluten and I'd heard about lectins. And I think at that point, I really didn't know the difference between a leptin and a lectin. So, I mean, I was basically clueless on that. And I'll admit my ignorance. I just had never heard of that. I was really up on health topics, training topics, eating as I had been taught to eat, but everything I had been taught was basically wrong for me anyway. And a guy wrote a book that I can't really endorse, but I will say this. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says to get a nugget out of it. Okay. So just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean they don't have something to offer. Always remember that. And I
gotta call people's attention to that point. That is such an important point. Yeah.
Yes. That is something. I could have dismissed this guy, and I don't know if I would be where I'm at health-wise now had I done that. And the guy is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and he wrote the book, The Plant Paradox. Now, I don't understand his conclusions. I mean, he made my connection with plant toxins. I don't want to get on a tangent here, but he just shows you ways of limiting, like steaming beans in a pressure cooker so you can reduce the toxic load by 80% or something like that. And actually, I guess I knew that. I guess we knew that here in Arkansas in the South because we have a plant called poke salad. I don't know if that translates where you're at in England, but Elvis wrote a song called Poke Salad Annie. So anyway, if you hear Elvis, you can hear that song. Oh, he wrote that, but he sung it. But anyway, it's similar to spinach. And we were always taught, my grandma, any of them that would make this, you bring it in, you cook it down in a pot. You dump the water, you clean it, you cook it down again. You cook it down 3 times before it's safe to eat. Well, that ought to be a warning right there. And it's an oxalate bomb is what it is. I didn't know that, but I knew it was very important. They said if you don't cook it down 3 times, you could get very sick. Well, I don't know. That ought to be that should be a concern right there. And I actually knew about some plant toxins from my daughter, who is an equestrian expert. She didn't get any of that from her mother. She learned this on her own. But anyway, she knew about horses. And so we had to be so careful of everything in our fields or they could die. Our cattle, we didn't know, like cherry bark is one of the things that can kill cattle, crab apples, different things like that. So horses are very sensitive to all of this. So we would have to worry about this weed, this plant, and make sure that that was not growing in our farm. So I didn't know about it maybe to that extent, but that was it. So when I made that connection, that really opened my eyes up. And so that would have been in 2016, 2017, in that time frame. That's when I started going on face. I am an OCD researcher, reader. And I mean, I have to actually limit myself. I know it's an addiction, and it's like anything else. I can get a book or I can listen to audiobooks or podcasts, and I could do that all day long. And I mean, you got to have a balance in your life. I mean, and I know that's one of my problems. That always has been. I'm a book fanatic. Love to research stuff, and even stuff that I just interested in it. It may not be anything that's pertinent to my health. I just like researching it. Love history, love music. So I started researching everything I could on plant toxins. I learned about Sally K. Norton. Then I started looking into some of these Facebook groups, and this one weird guy, Phil something in England. I don't know if you know that guy or not. But anyway, Phil Escott. No, I learned about him. Lisa Bailey was another one. I started following them, and I thought, wow, they walked the same path I walked before them. So, having said that, when I got in touch with them and got on some of those groups, it took my level of understanding from about here to here because I was learning from their mistakes. And Phil was very good to share everything he did wrong. And I thought, man, I mean, my story is his story. And then Lisa Bailey had a lot of things too. And there were others. I hate naming names because there's so many others in this journey that helped. And let me stop just for a second. This okay, Phil? I'm going to go off on a tangent. Is that all right? It won't be bad. No. One thing during this journey, when I got into the carnivore movement, and people can take this or they can leave it, and I don't really care. I don't mean this in a hateful way or anything at all. But I knew how the vegans were. I knew how militant they were and could be very, very hateful. Not all vegans. I've got a lot of vegan friends. They're kind of like me. They're libertarian. If you want to eat vegan, eat vegan. You want to eat steak, I don't care. Now you got others. No, they're not that way. But I got into a couple of groups and unfortunately acquainted with some carnivores that were more dogmatic than a militant vegan, and some of the absolutely non-helpful, and that's putting it kind. I'm trying to say this in a kind way. Very non-helpful, very judgmental, and it's like the carnivore Moses came down from Mount Sinai and said, "Thou shalt never touch salt. Thou shalt never do this. Thou shalt not exercise. Thou shalt not." And I mean, wow. And I got in trouble. I got banned from this one site because I mentioned the F word, and I kept using the F word, and I didn't realize that was a bad word. Not that F word, fasting. Now, I understand. I get it. I understand what they're saying. I fully respect that. I had no clue. I didn't know that was a no-no in a lot of the carnivore communities. I had no idea. And oh my goodness. And so, the dogmatic groups and some of these people really they would have almost ran me out of even trying carnivore. And one lady in particular, I'm not going to mention names, but she was absolutely very rude, very not helpful. And Phil was the exact opposite. Had it not been for Phil, I may not have even gave this a try. I go, okay, you know what? I don't care. I am not going to be around people like this. And he was not that way at all. And fortunately, I met a lot of other people along the way that were just amazing people, and they just wanted to help. They weren't in it for the money. They weren't in it for, hey, I'm trying to hawk this product, sell this, or whatever. That wasn't their deal. So I'm off of that rant now. But the people that were very helpful, it's amazing how it changed my life. Dr. Sean Baker came on the scene, and he kind of helped mainstream this. So still not wanting to seem too crazy at this point, 2016, 2017 timeframe, I didn't want to go 100% carnivore. I mean, I could. It wouldn't bother me, but I did, with social pressures, my family, it is a little odd. I mean, it's a little odd. You go over and you go to a Thanksgiving deal or Christmas or whatever birthday party, and they understand if you don't eat cake, but when you're not eating any vegetables, everybody look, what's wrong? What's wrong? Well, why are you not? So I would still eat a small amount, and I thought, okay, if I do 90% carnivore, I'll be good. And I think for a lot of people, being, Don made, he calls it hyper carnivore, 70% and above. And I know him and several people being in that hyper carnivore range of 70% animal product have done great. That's not me. That is definitely not me. I tried that. And
Mark,
as high. Go ahead.
Can you hold that thought? Because there's a few things that I really want to, if anybody's listening to this who is new to this business that we're talking about carnivore, and I really want to unpack a couple of the things that Mark has said about here, because he's honestly, he's touched on such important points. I think what you're beginning to see is that we are both carnivore. We eat nothing but meat. But does that have to be dogmatic? Should anybody eat like that? Well, if we all ate locally and seasonally according to what was in our local area at that time of year, we would never have got this sick. We're this sick because we've eaten a load of grains, we've eaten a load of this and that. Now a load of people out there from every dietary walk of life are noticing this about seed oils and grains and processed foods. They give that up, they have a little bit of improvement, and then they still believe their rheumatologist that it's not possible to heal this. I wrote a book. I'm not going to really go into my story. I had horrible inflammatory arthritis, both ankles, knee, back, this wrist, which has been damaged since the early 90s when I didn't realize what was going on, but I still play drums, which I couldn't do for 2 years after 2010. And I wrote my book in about 2013, 2014, I think, Arthritis, the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, where I go through all of my journey. But I wasn't even fully carnivore then, and I pretty much fixed it. But I had to do so many other things. And if I had had the basis of full carnivore, and I want to just stress what Mark's saying here about plant toxins, that I see, and I'm sure Mark does, so many people who even find their way to a high-fat, meat-based, ketogenic diet with a few vegetables. All those lovely ones that you were told are absolutely perfect. Some of the complicated things, the difficult rheumatoid arthritis, the multiple sclerosis, they tend to fix when you drop just the last of those few veg out. And you sometimes get more of an improvement than you do from coming from a regular diet to the keto diet. And this seems absolutely extraordinary to people, but I really want to stress it here that if you go, oh, well, I'll just up my meat a bit. It isn't the meat that's healing you. It's dropping out all of those plant toxins. Once the gut is broken, and I work a lot with Zofia Clements at Paleomedicina in Hungary. She's lovely, and she came to our carnivore retreat last year, and she became a good friend. And they are so strict there, and it's a very high-fat version of the carnivore diet. We can't really, this is beyond the scope of really explaining where that is. I'm sure if you consult with me, if you consult with Mark, we can both explain this to you. But have faith that, yes, there are other things. There's fixing the light, there's fixing your emotional state, there's fixing all these beautiful things that an illness can lead you towards. But as far as healing the gut and bringing it down, what Mark says is spot on. If you fast, you're going to know that you're eating the wrong stuff, and your rheumatologist is bullshitting you, saying that food has nothing to do with it, because those symptoms will stop. And then if you bring back the wrong food, they'll come back in again. You might be able to reintroduce foods. There's no need for being dogmatic. Over the years, over the months, the weeks, you can reintroduce some other foods, but you will not be eating pizza again. You will not be eating bread again. You'll not be eating donuts again. It's not going to happen, all right? So you have to go back there for a while to heal the gut. And this is what's so important about what Mark's saying, and the mistakes that we go through, and how passionate we are to show people how to get the basis of that high-fat carnivore diet with some organ meats to cover some nutritional, whatever. Some people are great on just steak, but just, to be safe, get some organ meats in there. We can put together, both of us could put together plans like this for you if you consult with us. But seriously, believe us when we say Those last few little bits of healthy veg are not your friend. They didn't exist 100 years ago, 200 years ago. We've made them up. They're not healthy foods. We got away with fruits in season. You won't be able to for a while. You might well do. Next year you can have some nice berries. You know, you can have stuff like that. But please, right now, absolutely pay attention, because I think the way we're going to structure this video, we're going to get some new people in who are probably frightened. They've just been diagnosed. They're rheumatologists. How passionate can we get about this? These buggers don't know anything, you know, about diet. They don't know, because they've seen people give up bread for a week and it didn't get better, and so they go, diet doesn't work. It's nonsense.
No.
Get that little rheumatologist off your shoulder. Do exactly what Mark has said here about research. All the podcasts you can on carnivory and autoimmunity, and find that out. And then when you've got that, you can have all this other stuff. You can fix the light. You can learn about your blue blockers, getting sleep together, getting all these things. But the basis of it, what we're trying to say today, get your confidence. Research as much as Mark did. Walk around with podcasts in your ears. Put Saladino's podcasts on. Paul Saladino's podcast. Put Sean Baker's HPO podcasts. You know, listen to Zofia Clements talking and the case histories now. This rheumatologist will tell you there's no studies. It doesn't work. It does. There's anecdotal evidence now that's massive. Join the carnivore groups. Join Mark's group. Join my group. Get support. See the healing stories every day that Mark and I are seeing. Sorry, I just had to do that, Mark, because
I'm glad.
I want to bring everybody back to how important it is what you're saying about your story. This is not stuff that we've just discovered and we're just these two guys. You know, we see it over and over again, isn't it? I mean, do you have to pinch yourself sometimes with the healing you see? And you think these rheumatologists are being paid. They're not healing anybody. They don't know how arthritis is caused, and they don't know how to cure it. If you had a plumber come to your house,
they're trying to manage it, not cure it.
Yeah. And they say arrogantly they say it's not curable. And this is terrible. Imagine you go into your rheumatologist, you've got an incurable disease, you have to take these chemicals, or you're going to be in agony and you're going to get joint damage. No. What about if you come to us and we say, you've messed up, it's not your fault, you've been taught to eat the wrong crap, you are going to have a fantastic journey and you're going to come out of this better than you went in. How brilliant is that? So what's the difference going out to two offices? You know, what's the difference in attitude? So it's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly right.
So carry on, Mark. Right. I had to have a rant there, you know.
No, and one thing, I'm glad you, one thing too, I don't care. I mean, I would say 3 months. Give yourself an experiment, and 3 months is probably a good time. You know, you can go 100% vegan 3 months. You're going to have very little difference as far as your long-term health. I mean, it would probably give you kidney stones. You can eat bread and peanut butter only for 3 months. You're going to live, and it's not healthy. So going on meat only is not something that is dangerous for 3 months to give it a try. And I don't think a month is really long enough for most issues. I don't think it's near the time. And I'll have people, I just love this. I know Phil's never had this happen. No, I'll have people all the time. Oh, I tried carnivore. I did it. I go, how long did it? Oh, I don't know, about a week or two. And oh my goodness, it didn't help at all. I'm like, people, you can't do something. I mean, the washout time is not even long enough there. And another thing, going back to Phil's point he just brought up, I personally do not think, I think there's a component, but for the autoimmune, GI issues, other things, health reasons, the magic is not in zero carb. That's just a result. It's getting rid of the plant toxins. That's the deal, and not adding meat. Meat is not necessarily the magic component. It's the elimination of the plant toxins, and that's like people
say it's extreme, don't they? It's not extreme. It's basic. No. It's basic. Yeah. That's basic. It. Take it back to basics.
That's exactly. It's the ultimate elimination diet. When I hear these people doing all these other eliminationist diets, oh my goodness, the complicity is crazy. I thought, just eat meat. It's so easy. But they're doing is, okay, now today the moon is going to be in this position, the sun is going to be here, so I'm going to eat this and this and this. Now tomorrow, I'm like, oh, really? Come on. It's just way too complicated. What I've always seen, anything that's too complicated, too difficult, you're not going to stay with it. You may do it for a while. you're not going to stay with it. It's really, really difficult. This is freeing. It's to me, it's the easiest way to eat. It's the easiest way to prepare food. There's nothing complicated about it. I hate when people make everything so darn complicated. It's not complicated. It's simple. It's just simplicity. So I think that's one of the things. And some of these people that are out there trying to make a buck, nothing wrong with making a buck. I'm not against making a buck, but some of these people make this way purposely overcomplicated. There's no reason to make this complicated. Keep it simple. Give it a try. Also, what you were talking about as far as if you want to add in stuff later, if this has worked for you, I could probably go back and eat a few more carbs. I'm not going to. I don't desire it. It doesn't make any difference. And I thought the number one problem I would have when I went actually 100% carnivore was going to be not having nuts. Let me tell you, I love pecans. I love almonds, pistachios. I have no desire for those. I don't have anything. And I always tell people, they always say, well, isn't that so restrictive? I go, nothing tastes better than feeling good. That's just my opinion. Nothing tastes better than feeling good. Oh, that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. It probably makes sense to you. And I mean, at best, if you eat something you love, I mean, just whatever it is, that feeling goes away after a while. But my pain in my hands, my knees, my back, my legs, that lingers. And I don't care how good that food was. If I'm going to hurt for the next 3 or 4 days, to me, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So no, I'm not going to give up my health just for a little temporary pleasure at all.
It's amazing how people have become, the tastes have been desensitized. They're in absolute agony, and then they still say, oh, but I can't give up this. I can't give up this. Well, exactly. Listen, take it as an addiction. Take it 1 month at a time or something. But Mark's right. You have messed up for decades. This has been burning away. This has been bubbling away for decades. It's not something that happened the day you went to the rheumatologist for your first visit.
No.
Right? So you are not going to fix it. Even if you get things perfectly right, you're not going to fix it in a week. You're not going to fix it in a month. But you will notice differences. Now, the thing is, there are certain things that can happen. I have a book out, a little ebook out there that's 69 frequently asked questions because about carnivory, starting it with links.
Great book, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Because people have so many questions to start with, and it's, am I going to get bunged up? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Well, make sure that you have somebody to guide you through that first month and to tell you this time. Because, there will be some things. No, you aren't constipated. It eases up. You don't need fiber. The gut needs to recondition. I mean, how good is digestion now on carnivore? And fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So there's all these myths, and you are going to get all the nutrients you need. You're going back to this basic food that is packed full of nutrients in the smallest package. Because how many nutrients there's 500-pound people who eat all day who don't get as much nutrients as we get from one steak and a lump of liver, right? So these are starving people who are 500 pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you are going to notice improvements fairly quickly if you get it right. I mean, you might even need to. Well, I would say you probably are going to have to be strict enough not to have even eggs, pork, and chicken to start with. It's not just let's eat everything from an animal. If you've
that was my mistake too.
Me too. So many times. If you I'm going to make this really clear. There's a huge difference between fixing diabetes and fixing autoimmunity. Diabetes, people say as well, oh, this is not fixable, and they have all these ridiculous diabetes departments in hospitals. Why do they even have them anymore? I mean, it's how easy is that to fix? Couple of months, fine. You can eat pork and butter and chicken and all of these things. If you've got autoimmunity, you're going to have to go more strict, and you're going to have to go.
You are.
It's basically a ruminant animal, salt water, fat, some fish if you want, and you'll be safe with these things. And just have faith that the healing path is never straight. You can have little flares, it can come down. You can have little flares, it can come down. The body knows what it's doing. Dr. Jeremy Ayres, who I work with in the Human Unleashed thing, he always says, and it's so beautiful, the body does not know how to work against us. Right? Autoimmunity is not the body attacking itself. It's the body getting so confused by molecular mimicry from the crap that you're eating that's getting through a leaky gut. It's attacking that, and it's misidentifying. It's not working against you, it's trying to work for you. And so you've just got to give it the building blocks. There's only one thing that can heal arthritis, right? The human body. There's only one thing that can heal cancer, the human body. We have these systems in place. Have absolute confidence that your body will know what to do if you stop confusing it. You know, and the more you can learn about plant toxins, even about the actions of deuterium, you know, from Laszlo Boros and whatever.
Yep.
Amazing lens to put it down. Once you see the theory of deuterium, it's exactly clear. We just did a beautiful interview with him on The Human Unleashed the other day. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, to see that is why a carnivore diet works. That is why a camel, you can't tell the age of a camel. It just drops dead one day because it runs on fats, because its mitochondria are so beautifully nourished by saturated fats. And that is what clears everything out of the body, stops the cellular confusion and allows you to heal. But it's not immediate. It's not immediate, but you're going to have to go very basic. Never say extreme. Somebody says, what an extreme diet. Basic human diet. I mean, this is one point. People see carnivores as nuts, extreme. Oh, they think that like a vegan, they've watched a couple of films and found this thing. But how many diets have we been through, Mark? How many? Every single one. Every carnivore.
You name it, I probably tried it.
Yeah, every single carnivore has gone through.
Every supplement too.
Yeah, tons and tons of diets, and then they finally found carnivore in desperation because it's so mad.
Desperation.
Because of the brainwashing. But all of this, I mean, I've looked at diet, I've written books, I've done it for 40 years. Why did I never just look at a cave painting? One caveman, one spear, one mammoth, no broccoli, right? That's what we ate. Let's forget about the vegans. Look at that. That's why it works. It's basic. That's what we are designed to eat. So, you know, that's it really. You know, just fill yourself with confidence and go down this path and chat to one of us and get some guidance for a month or so.
Yeah, exactly. It's so simple. We just make it so complicated. Yeah.
Isn't it the simplicity that stops people believing it? They want something so complicated. So.
Yeah, I think so.
It seems too simple.
Yeah, and when I was talking with you and you're looking at your groups and other people's groups, it just didn't seem like there's got to be more to it than that. And I still, even when in 2017, I was at 90 to 95% carnivore. That's small. I mean, I would probably have less than one serving of vegetables in a week, but I still was not getting any. I shouldn't say any. I was getting very little relief in my rheumatoid arthritis. And also I had psoriasis and really bad tendonitis in my right elbow. Had to wear a brace on this elbow all the time. Of course, I'd have the patches of the psoriasis. And, it was Dr. Sean Baker when he said in 2018, we're going to do the world's first World Carnivore Month. But you know what? I've already done this. I know I can do carnivore 100%. Let me just try going 100% carnivore. So I told my wife, and, I thought she's going to be like, oh, really? Not this again? Well, she had suffered from IBS for over 25 years, severe IBS-C, the constipation form. And again, she hated meat. Only meat she would eat would be maybe a little bit of chicken, and that was it. Never beef. She hated steak. So she said, you know what? I'm going to do it too. Yeah, you'll last 2 hours maybe at it. I didn't have a lot of faith in her sticking with this. And she said, well, I just want to see if it'll help my IBS, because she had been reading, like I had, how it helped people with digestive issues. So 1/1 of 2018, 100% carnivore. Now, this is where I want to make this very clear, Phil. Because hope is good, but false hope is terrible. So I don't want people to get false hope. But people will ask me, and there's videos out. I put videos and everything documenting all this. And in 2 weeks after going carnivore, so the middle of January, I was doing this here. I put a video out. I go, this doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot to me. And they're going, what? Really? Well, then I had all these people with rheumatoid arthritis going, in 2 weeks? Well, what they don't understand, and I want to make sure this is very clear. I have been hyper carnivore since 2014. Okay, so I had already lowered down my plant toxin load a lot. I had lowered down seed oils, nut oils, and all of that a lot. And I ate fairly clean regardless. I didn't eat garbage regardless of how I was eating. So, there was that part of it in there. The fasting, I think, also helped to lower a lot of the toxic load too. So I think those played a part. So I don't want anybody to think, okay, well, Mark went carnivore and in 2 weeks he can snap his finger. I could also get my ring on and off. I don't want them to think in 2 weeks they're going to have that success. They probably won't. I'm still healing. Okay. I mean, I always say I'm in 100% remission. I don't have any of the problems, but I think my body is still healing from the years of damage that I have. And in all honesty, on my left knee, when I do a lot of Thai boxing, I'll still have some major inflammation at left knee. Is that from being injured? I mean, I've had so many injuries, it's pitiful. But I don't know. But it has gotten better over the months after going 100% carnivore. So I still think my body is healing from the damages that I have done. But going back to the mistakes, I was eating beef, I was eating pork, I was eating chicken, I was eating turkey, whatever. And that didn't, I don't think, do as well. And when I added in eggs, probably in March of 2018, I had a horrible time, and that's not uncommon. I was having I had perfect digestion. My wife, her IBS, no problems at all. She's off all her meds. She's off all her supplements. Not any problem at all. Of course, the most common question you get asked, well, do you go to the bathroom if you're carnivore without fiber and all this? And yes, may not go as frequently because you don't have as much waste and fiber to get rid of. You don't need that stuff. So yes, it was all been perfect. So I added in the eggs. I had some digestive issues. I think my body fat started going up. I just didn't do as well. I did yolks only. Didn't have any problem with yolks only, but it's just a pain. So I just stopped doing eggs altogether and just had doing, bacon, a little bit of pork. Other than that, some sausage every now and then, and beef. And I think in July, I was craving an egg. I said, let me have one egg. So I ate one whole egg, didn't have any trouble. And a day or two later, I had another egg. So I gradually added whole eggs back in. And now, I mean, I can eat, seriously, I can eat in a day's time, I can eat over 2 dozen. I know that sounds extreme, but I can't. We have farm eggs. I love eggs, right up there with ribeyes. But what I gradually, and this is not unusual, and I don't know if it's monkey see, monkey do. I don't really think so. It's just the way, because I've tried it both ways. But I just gravitated towards high-fat ribeyes. I know Dr. Sean Baker talked about that. So I kind of took his role model. Let me just try this. So I pretty much did that. Perfect. And I did the eggs. Now, he doesn't do as much eggs. He said he used to do eggs. He doesn't do eggs as much. I do a lot of eggs. Every day, I will probably have at least a dozen eggs a day, minimum. Love them. So that has worked with me. You mentioned organ meats. I love liver, but nobody else in my household loves liver. And so I do very little liver, cooked anyway. What I will do, there's one, I don't get any money from this company, but there's one company called Now Foods. They make a Argentinian-based desiccated liver powder. So I will take a little bit of liver powder. Now, I want to tell people, and I know there's a lot of controversy in this here. Do you need organs? Do you not need organs? I'm agnostic on that. I have went 100% ribeye, eggs, water, a little extra salt. I load up with salt before I work out, after I work out. I cannot tell any difference in how I feel, how my arthritis has responded, how my workouts are, anything else. When I do that, I have done experiments where I did a lot of liver. I mean, lots of liver. No difference at all. Now, I know that's not the case with everybody. There are some people, they seem like they really do need the organ meats. So I'm agnostic on that. I think it's fine to do it. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary for everybody. You look at Charlene and Joe Anderson. I know they don't do it. They've done great on it for years. So I'm not gonna make a firm statement either way on that. I think that kind of varies for the person on there. But since 2018, 100% carnivore. The only thing that I have ate that's not carnivore, as we talked about, on my farm, we have berries. We have blackberries, dewberries, huckleberries, and I will eat a few of those while they're in season, and I just hand pick them. And I mean, maybe in a year's time or a season's time, I might eat a total of probably less than half a pound. But I think that's how the natives ate. I think that's how if you look at the Inuit people, you look at the Indians, you look at the Maasai, Native berries, I think, has always been in the diet. I don't have a problem with that. So if I get kicked out of the carnivore community for eating some berries, so be it.
No, man,
But
it was funny.
have no problem with that.
I was attacked by a vegan once and told that I was a fraud. Well, I was attacked by a vegan hundreds of times. Many vegans.
Well, yeah, that's every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Death threats, everything. But this one particular one were calling me out as a fraud because I'd eaten a couple of handfuls of blackberries 2 years ago from behind a bush. From a bush behind me when I was fishing, and I said, yeah, of course I did. This is not dogmatic. It's not like somebody gets thrown off the vegan bus for having a tin of tuna.
No.
It's nonsense. You do what you want. But when we're talking about strictness and organ meats, I like to throw in my opinion there. I think if anyone's getting on fine without them, that's absolutely cool. I don't know. I mean, I see. I've been very influenced recently by Zofia on the diet level. At Paleo Medicine, and I have seen tremendous difference with people in the early healing phase. I mean, even they're not dogmatic in time and to reintroduce stuff. But so strict. It's like basically, to spell it out for people. She's saying 35 grams of fat for each 100 grams of lean meat. Which will there's always some fat and some lean meat anyway, so it'll probably give you about a 3-to-1 fat ratio, fat to protein, and they also say, get liver in, get bone marrow in, get brains in, and my partner, she's getting rid of Graves' disease now beautifully, which is a very tricky one to get rid of.
Great.
And she's doing great with that, and she's I mean, she grew up in Tanzania eating all that stuff, so she's not squeamish like people in the West. So she eats brains, she eats liver, she eats a bit of any old bit of animals, and I think to cover the bases, that's cool. But the point that Mark's making is very interesting here, because if you think a load of people go into their 70s and 80s, if they don't get anything actually diagnosed, they're like, oh yeah, I'm healthy and I haven't got any nutritional deficiencies. They might have a bit. So if you're eating ribeye steak, it is so much more absorbable, so much more nutrient dense than somebody who's eating cereal and pasta and stuff like that.
Yes.
That it's going to take you to 95% anyway of whatever you need. You're going to be fine on that. Most people are going to be fine on that. I think, like my friend Elliot Overton, who's a bit of a genius, and he often points out there are some nutritional deficiencies you can come into carnivore with that carnivore doesn't heal. It's not the ultimate magic bullet. It is for the gut, for healing the gut. But there are certain things you might have to boost up. Certain B vitamins. Some people have a little trouble with vitamin C along the way sometimes, although you don't really need it in the same way as you do before.
Exactly.
And thiamine, some people can boost up. It's like I drank too much red wine like about 6 months ago, and some Jack Daniels. I was experimenting because I've never drunk my whole life, but now my liver's so clean from carnivore, and I run on tallow. It's so clean I can drink, and yet I thought, the liver's fine. Blood results are perfect. When I was vegetarian and teetotal for 30 years, they used to say, "Are you an alcoholic?" No, I haven't drunk for 30 years, but my liver was trashed. But now it's perfect. The fat's gone off it. The cysts have gone out of it, and so I can drink. But I'm stupid this way. It's another mistake I've made where I think, I can drink now. I can. I'm a teenager now. I can experiment with alcohol. And it started to definitely dip. I started to get symptoms of thiamine deficiency, which alcohol rips out of you. And so you can boost that up as well. So there are certain things on a carnivore diet that you can, the B vitamins sometimes come when people start to get like seborrheic dermatitis or whatever, and then you find that if you put some liver in, that can help with that. But you see, the interesting thing is what you can do when you learn about this stuff. There's just different parts of the animal that you can use as your supplements. All those, those people who take tons of supplements, they're the people who can't even absorb them anyway because their guts are so knackered.
The gut's so damaged.
The supplements keep the gut damaged because they're packed with crap. Like if you go to Zofia, she'll go, no supplements, not even any toothpaste, any non-fluoride toothpaste for at least 2 weeks. Don't get a molecule of anything in. So I would say, people who've tried carnivore and failed, here are their main mistakes. Eating too much protein compared to fat, eating too late at night, eating when they're not hungry, eating eggs, pork and chicken before they're ready for them. And that's probably the main ones covered on carnivore. Would you say that's about right?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, I think not getting enough salt, I think that's important too.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not getting enough fat, and maybe not getting enough total calories. Some people try to do carnivore and try to keep their calories at 800, 900 calories. I go, no. Eat till you're full. Don't eat again until you're hungry. It's that simple. And again, you may know this, but I kind of going back to my OCD. I used to track every molecule that came into my mouth. And I don't track anything now. I mean, I do it occasionally for my group. I think I did in 2019. I tracked, 5 or 6 meals. My last one I tracked, I put, okay, here's my last. This is the way I like to track. It's a lot of steak and a lot of eggs. It's yummy. That's how I like to track. But I tracked everything there. And I mean, yeah, you may need to know a little bit to kind of know where you're at. But again, I think if you're eating a nice, fat, juicy ribeye, you're pretty much at that 70% fat to protein. And I did an experiment a year ago, October, up until December of 2019. And I went extremely kind of in the Ted Naiman range, very high protein. I tried it before, but I had never tried it for 2 months. And horrible results for me. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong for everybody, but for me, it was horrible. Had all kinds of problems, and I wrote a big, post on it, and this is my experience. Now, that was my experience. It may not be your experience, somebody else's, but it was mine. And I think we need to experiment with different things. But yeah, I would say right there, not getting enough fat is one of the problems. Not getting enough calories, total calories in, trying to do too many things at one time. I mean, if you're, you go on social media and you got like the Lane Nortons and all those. Well, the only reason you got your results is because you cut your calories. Really? I mean, you see my post, and I know it gets redundant, but this is my meals. I just want people to know this is what I'm eating. I mean, you got a big old plate of steak, you got egg, that's what I've got, soaked in, butter or grease, and they're saying that I cut my calories. That's how I got my healing. Well, I've done that before, and that didn't help. So you hear all this stuff, and I think it messes people up. They come into this, okay, I'm going to do carnivore, but I'm only going to eat lean meat. I'm not going to do a lot of sodium. I'm going to, try to keep my calories under 1,000 calories, some low number. And it fails. It will fail almost every time they try that. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. People think that they have to starve themselves. That's one of the great things about this diet. You're not hungry. I mean, the only thing I would say, the only time I would ever ignore hunger is if it's too late at night. If for some reason you've been caught out and it's too late at night, even the very best food is going to cause a reaction if you've got leaky gut and you're in the middle of healing. So just put that off till the morning. It doesn't matter, but you stuff your face in the morning, have a 2 steaks instead of 1. It's fine.
There you go.
But I would say late at night, most people say don't eat within 2 hours of bedtime, but that's for carb monsters. I would say when you're healing, try not to eat between 5 and 6 hours of bedtime, Eat 10 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, something like that,
Well, and with my wife, with her IBS, she's experimented with different things. And this has been, anytime she has cheated, she has paid dearly. I mean, she has paid dearly. My wife, she's half Mexican. Her family, they'll come up from Mexico or different places. And, they like to have their tamales. They want to make all the traditional foods. Anytime she does it, and even has a little bit, she pays dearly for it. So she's been very strict. But one thing she has noticed on her journey is that the earlier she eats, the better she does. So she tries to get her eating now, if she can. She tries to get it done before 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And she does so much better. And she may eat, I generally eat 1 meal a day. She'll usually eat 1 meal a day to 2 meals a day. And she does so much better with her sleep, with her digestion, everything when she eats earlier, like you said.
I think that the small mistakes can have really far-reaching consequences early on in the healing, before the gut's healed. After a while, you can make some mistakes. Like I couldn't take eggs at all. I don't like egg whites. I never did, so I don't really eat them. But egg yolks, fine now, absolutely fine. I can have, 3 burgers with 6 egg yolks dripping all over each one. And it's fantastic. But it, and Dr. Greger's nightmare, isn't it? That's going to kill you. Those eggs, those egg yolks.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, he's a great role model. That's how we want to have sarcopenia in our 40s. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? Why is he not the cure for vegetarianism on his own? Veganism, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I
Terrible.
mean, the tiniest mistakes. Like I remember Zofia drilled it into me just how important it can be, and she was talking about Graves' disease, but many other things. She had in those early stages, even because she'd caught Detta, my missus, eating a bar of chocolate or something, and having a
Yeah.
little cheat when we were on the carnivore conference, and she just laughs, she's not dogmatic either, but she said, look,
Mm-hmm.
even a few molecules of dairy, if you're sensitive to it, at the beginning,
Yeah.
is going to trigger stuff just the same as
It
a great big cheat. So,
It will.
these tiny little cheats, and then you come back to one of us, isn't it disappointing? And then somebody says, "I've been on it a month. I've not got any. I've got this. Something's got worse. And I've been carnivore. I've been eating chicken. Well, of course, just some dark chocolate and some coffee with some cream in and some. Oh, here we go. Yes.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I have
time.
friends come up to my wife or come up to me and they'll say, yeah, we're doing what your husband's doing or what you're doing. We're doing carnivore. Now, I still have a little bit of, I'll drink milk and I still have biscuits and gravy in the morning. And, what is carnivore? I mean, I don't get it. I'm just like, wow, no, you're not carnivore. If you're still eating all that, that's not carnivore.
Now, this sounds dogmatic. If anyone's dropped in here and they got diabetes, you don't have to go that strict, right? And somebody who's doing it for their health, if you get like 75-80% carnivore and you drop out seed oils and grains, you're going to have some spectacular results. But it's very, very different. Very, very different if you're coming here and you've got some autoimmunity. And here's something that I forgot, and this is really important for people, I think. A lot of people listening to this might already be on the drugs. Now, I took some steroids for about 2 weeks, and I took some sulfasalazine for a month, and I didn't take any of their methotrexate. I wouldn't do it. And then I gave it up, and I never took it again. But even in that month, it fucked me up. It did things in my body that were definitely very unpleasant. And I would say that if you've been on meds for a while, yes, you can heal, but really be prepared that it's going to take longer because you're healing up the damage from those meds too. And those meds have trashed the gut. The meds have made the liver weaker. The meds have done all kinds of stuff. Those are powerful, nasty meds that they give you for arthritis.
They are.
And they're not necessary. I mean, I spent some time on low-dose naltrexone, and that helped me, but it helped me to the extent that I could make mistakes and eat bowls of cream and berries all day. Right? And that's fine, and that would be fine for a lot of people, but it's not going to completely heal you, but it allowed me to make those mistakes. So when I was keto, and then I came off it, and then it's really damn obvious that you've got to go carnivore, because
absolutely.
Once it's stopped covering it up. But low dose naltrexone, pretty harmless as drugs go. But your doctor won't tell you that because the patent's run out, and he's got a new one to sell. And he'll be selling this new one that the drug companies have told him to do because it's 5,000 quid a shot or whatever it is, these biologics. And honestly, I promise you they're not necessary. Methotrexate is absolute poison. It's never going to heal you. When you're on that, you don't have a good future.
It just covers it up.
Covers it up, and you need those symptoms. I always say that if you took your car to the garage with the oil warning light on and the mechanic smashed the oil warning light and charged you $50, would you pay him? No, but that's what your rheumatologist do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I know that you're scared. I know that you're scared to come off those drugs, and I know that you think you're going to go through some pain, and you might do. But if you come off,
will.
Yeah, but you're going to have to go through that for a while. Add some fasting to start with. Speed up that cellular detox. But you can heal. Don't be frightened. You can heal, but it might take you longer than if you come to us with a new diagnosis and say, right, I was diagnosed the other day and I haven't taken anything. Then you're going to heal quicker than you are if you've been on methotrexate for 20 years,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, one of the ladies in our group, you may have seen this on her post, April Wyas. Her husband's Kenny Wyas. He gets me a lot of good ribeyes and good meat and stuff. She had the same thing with rheumatoid arthritis, and he had told her about, I talked to him about this, and she came to it. She was on all kinds of medications, and her results had just been spectacular, just like our results, just spectacular. And she was very skeptical, but out of desperation, as we were, she decided to give it a try. And I told her, give it 3 months minimum. And I just kind of helped her a little bit through this, through that. She did her own research. She went on all the different groups and just had amazing results. And so many others. I mean, that's just one I can think of. so many have had that same type of healing, and they have to come to it almost out of desperation, it seems, because it is scary when you're doing something that is not mainstream. I understand that, and it is frightening to try something that seems so extreme and radical as only eating meat. But when you're desperate enough, I think that's where most people like that will go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the confidence, isn't it? Because you're there, you're desperate, you've heard us talking about it, and you're going, yeah, but all those studies that say that meat kills you and it gives you heart disease and cancer.
Oh yeah.
Just get on the groups.
Scary.
Yeah, it is scary. It is scary. I mean, get on the groups, look at the results for yourself. They speak volumes more than these ridiculous studies that were never done on pure carnivores. Look at the cultures that have done it. They're fine. They don't have any of these problems. Get onto Sean's Meat RX, meat prescription or whatever, how you pronounce it, you dudes. We don't do that RX thing, but meatrx.com and see the case histories. Go onto Mark's group and see the successes. And it's just beautiful. I often check Mark's group and I see some great successes. And I've got also a rheumatoid arthritis. Mark's a member of, and he helps out on there too. It's called, big mouthful, rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis, mitochondrial health and carnivory.
Yes, great.
Ridiculously long name, but I just wanted to fit it all in of just that, this is rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis. They might call it different names. It's the same thing. Autoimmunity, same thing, same fix.
Same thing.
They keep
psoriasis. Same thing. It's all in that group right there together.
Same thing. Yeah. Some of them can heal quicker, like the gut issues tend to heal quickest, then the skin issues, then the joint issues, then the neurological issues like MS. That those tissues are a bit slower to build up, but all of those things are pretty much the same. And I think we've given people some great confidence today. I mean, we could maybe, if this goes down well and we get asked, we can do another episode and have a Mark and Phil chats thing.
I mean, if it helps one person, that's great. I mean, if it just helps one person, I'm happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. I know that we've got so much more info, but I don't want to give somebody who's new to this the feeling that they're drinking from a fire hose today. So, let it digest. Follow a couple of the links that I'll put down below this, and check out Mark's group and my group and chat to us. We have a real passion to do this. If you chat to us, you're not bothering us. Come and talk. We just love chatting, and we love to see those messages that come through, don't they? For every death threat we have from vegans, how many messages of healing do we get? It's beautiful. If they could see those, they'd feel a bit stupid. One of them, I had so many great messages under one of my YouTube videos that some vegan told me that I was actually faking all the accounts and writing them myself, and I'm like, hello, what would I be doing? What would I possibly be doing that for? Because of all the Ferraris they think I've got out the back, because of some mythical meat industry has paid me to be a shill.
Yes, I'm getting paid fortunes for eating meat. Yeah,
I
wish.
I know. I mean, just look at our passion. We would not recommend this to you if it was damaging. How would we ever want anybody to go through the pain that we've been through?
No, and that's why you're the same way. I tell people, do your own research. Don't do this because I do it, you do it, Sean Baker does it, whoever does it. Don't do it for that reason. If we motivate you to do it, that's great. But do your own research. Don't trust me. Don't trust Phil. Go and do your own research. See what others have done. And again, I don't care how crappy you eat. If you do it for 3 months, unless you're eating, strychnine or arsenic, you're probably good. So, 3 months is not going to kill you regardless of what you're eating, whether it be crap or whether it be vegan or whether it be carnivore. So, 3 months, give it a go. I'm not going to say you're going to have the success I've had or Phil's had, but hey, you may be headed in the right direction, and we all heal at a different pace. Yeah. And again, I'm going 3 years, 100% carnivore coming up. I'm still healing. I'm still healing. My body is still, on there. It's not an instant thing. It's not. I think we take a pill and we feel better. That you have pain, you take a pill, the pain goes away. It's pretty well instant. That's our culture. Everything is not. It's a healing trajectory. And as long as you're on the right trajectory and it's not always straight up, it's, it has its dips and everything too. So it's not going to be the same as mine or Phil's or anybody's. But give it a go. Give it a go and see how it does for you. And, I think you'll be impressed. I think you will be impressed if you get a time. Look at how to do it right. Don't just go into this blind. Educate yourself. I mean, well, I don't know if you're terrible at this, but you get a piece of equipment, you need to read the directions so you're doing it right. Well, it's your own body. So make sure you're doing this the right way to give it a good success. If you're doing this the wrong way, you didn't give it a good fair test.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it depends, you get these people who go, oh, well, everyone's different. Some people thrive on plants, some people. I don't think that's true. I think where everybody's different is in how they come into this and the imbalances they have. And that isn't all dietary. If somebody's eating a perfect diet and they're bathed in EMFs, they're spending their whole night playing video games and not healing, it's not going to work. It's not a magic bullet.
It's not going to work.
It takes you back to, it's the best basis on a dietary level. Go full high fat carnivore, leave it at that, and then look at the other stuff. Don't keep on tweaking. I spent 2 years totally focused on diet, and it was wrong because I realized I wasn't sleeping. I was researching by staring into a computer with no iris on it, no shades on, all night researching. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was reading it. And however good your diet is, it's the night time when stuff fixes. You need to give it the building blocks, and then you need to sleep. You need to put it into the garage, and you need to get it to repair at night. So if you're not sleeping, and some people come in with tremendous fears and worries and trauma. And so, all of these things are going to slow down the healing and confuse the mitochondria. And so the wonderful thing about this carnivore thing is I think that it leads you into many other aspects of our other ancestral disconnects. And you can see the whole lifestyle goes with it, and you can start to piece that together. And a lot of the carnivores do it. I certainly do it on my Carnivore and Beyond group. The Beyond bit being all the other ancestral disconnects that you can look at. And it's a fascinating new way of living, and you'll love it. And it's not difficult. A bit of natural light in the morning, get your feet on the ground, cut the natural light, cut the artificial light at night, eat meat, sleep well. It's not difficult.
It's simple. Simple. It's how we were designed. And one of the guys I really like, Dr. Anthony G.J., his book, Desperation. My goodness, you see why so many guys, in their early 30s and 40s, they look like a pregnant woman. They are basically eating birth control pills. They don't realize it. But, I mean, we're getting so many estrotoxins in our environment. And I think when I tell people, read the Estrotoxins book, I said, I don't want to make you paranoid, but you can't get rid of all the toxins in your life. But if you're not getting rid of all this estrogens that we're getting in everything, it's crazy. Beef is one of the lowest, probably the lowest of any food as far as the hormones go. You get some of these other foods, and it's just off the charts. I mean, nanograms of hormones you're getting in your system. So again, the grounding, getting the natural light, blocking out the blue, staying off electronics at night especially, getting natural lights. All those are very important. And with working out, I always say there's three main principles when I train people in my clients that I train. The proper workout, I always say that's the easiest. It's going to feel like the hardest, but I'm there. I'm pushing you through it. So I'm going to make sure you're in good form. You got the right intensity. You're doing it right. So that's actually the easiest. The second is the proper eating. We've already discussed that. And the third, I think maybe the hardest, that is the rest and recovery and the other intrinsic things. And if we could put sleep down and market it in a supplement, it would be a PED. I mean, it would definitely be a performance enhancing drug. And I think it's so easy to go in and just kill it in the gym. I mean, you can go in there and just go all out. You can do this, almost collapse when you're done, or collapse when you're done. That's kind of easy. The hardest part is being man enough to back up, or woman enough too, back up, take a day off, get your rest and recovery. My mentor, Doug Holland, one of the strongest guys pound for pound in the world. The Sickness is what he's called, a champion powerlifter, and he's now carnivore. He had psoriasis issues, and he went carnivore a few months after me. Totally gone. Doug Holland's amazing guy. He's in Shreveport, Louisiana, intelligent exercise there. It's just amazing how he went carnivore and the difference it's made. But he told me before any of this, he said, Mark, one thing you're going to learn is, because I love to love deadlifting, and I use a hex bar, absolutely love it. And I come from a powerlifting background. He said, just don't deadlift for a few weeks. I said, how long? He said, no, I don't deadlift for 6 weeks. I go, you don't deadlift for 6 weeks? Are you kidding me? And you know what? My body healed up so much better. I would come back to it stronger than before. But it took somebody like Doug Holland to convince me of that, to back away. And that's hard to do. So, again, I'm not going to go on a tangent on that too. But sometimes just those intrinsic things, we think we got the diet dialed in. We've got the sleep, maybe good. And we got our eating, our workout good. But if you're staying on video games all night long, if you're doing, staying up too late, you got too much stress in your life, you're around toxic people, you don't have gratitude in your life, you don't have kindness and love, you don't try to help people, those things play a part. They play a big part. And I think that's where it comes into, as you put it in your group, 100% carnivore and beyond. I always like that when somebody puts something on there, go, well, that doesn't fit, and it always goes beyond. And see, I should have put that in my group. I may have to copy that and put beyond in there, because that beyond is some of the most important things. And it's not just one thing. It's when you stack these things on top of each other is when you get great results. James Clear, he wrote the book Atomic Habits, and that's where it comes from. You take small changes every day or every week and stack them together, and then you get huge results. So I think we need to look into not just the carnivore, not just maybe the working out, but the sleep, keeping the blue light down, everything you just said. We need to look at that too.
Yeah. This is where people fail so much, and that is where people are different. Like when people go, oh well, you can't just eat meat, some are fine on everything. No, that's where the subtleties come in. It's beyond that. Just get basic, get back to beef, salt and water. That's going to heal your gut up. Then look at the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really as simple as that. It's just throw out everything you think you know about diet. Throw out everything that you think you know about meat and how nasty it is. It's not. If anything they said about meat was true, I would be dead by now, because I've eaten nothing else for 5 years. So,
well, your scurvy's kind of showing up. I see the scurvy. You see mine?
Well, yeah, I have to, push my teeth in every now and again.
I had to put on makeup too. I don't know.
Yeah, one or two falls out. My eyeballs tend to bleed, but besides that, I'm fine. But it's funny because. Also, I've noticed, I'm 58 years old. When I was in my 30s, I owned a gym. I got very big and muscly, but I never got lean. I was training all the time. I was writing for mountain bike mags. I was counting calories. I was doing all that kind of thing. Never got lean. Then I got really fat when I stopped training, and by 2010, and then by 2011, I was like 90 pounds lighter. And a lot of that was muscle because of the veganism, because that was bad. But like 60 pounds of fat or so is gone, and I've put some of the muscle back on again. But what makes it so amazing is also people who want to come at it from a cosmetic point of view. I walk around now, I can't see anybody older than like 20 years younger than me that doesn't have a belly. I'm walking around now at 58. I do a tenth of the exercise that I used to. It's just real targeted body weight stuff, and that pretty much only for about the past 6 months I've got back into it, because it's so effective it makes you lazy. And if I don't drink too much wine, my abs pop right out, and I'm like, I stuff my face with food. I never count a calorie. It's extraordinary. Well, it's not extraordinary to us anymore, is it? But wow, and if people could know that too, they could just be brought into it just from the sort of the look of it, the cosmetics.
Well, exactly. And I always say this: if I get a client that comes to me for training, or if we get somebody that wants to come into carnivore and they do it purely for vanity reasons, if that got them there, great. I'm all for vanity if that got you there. Hopefully you'll be there for more important things. But what you just said, I absolutely love these pictures that people post of these ancestral cultures, and they're 65, 70-year-old men, and they're jacked. And they didn't just go out and do CrossFit. They had been doing kettle swings. Yeah. And they've got abs, and then you'll see some that are even older and Aboriginal people. And it's like, okay, they're not going to the gym. They're probably not watching their calories. They're probably not, got their health fitness app out, checking everything. And it's just amazing. So what are they eating? Now, I know probably some of these Aboriginals, they're definitely not all meat eaters, but I guarantee you they're not eating crap. They're not eating that. And we see, you look at the magic pill. Look at the Aboriginal people in Australia, and it looked at them, 70, 80 years ago versus today, when they got all the or I shouldn't say American, but westernized foods. And their health is horrible, absolutely horrible. And then you can look at the Inuits and the dichotomy of the ones that still live in the villages versus the ones that live in Juneau and Anchorage that eat the standard American diet. And their health is horrible compared to their families that still live back in the native villages eating largely native foods.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
The further north you go, the less you can get away with that kind of crap. That's why nature makes fruits grow at the equator, and it doesn't make them grow up at the Arctic. Nature gives you the food that you need.
That's absolutely right.
And that's now a whole new rabbit hole. That one. But hey, Mark, listen. I think we've given them a bit of a fire hose there to drink from, and I just thank you so much, man. It's so good to just.
I really did. It's great to actually talk to you in person. Like I said, we just text for years, and like I said, you're my brother from another mother. I just when I saw your story, I'm like, well, I'm going to steal his story and make it my own. No, I mean it was just like everything you had done. I had been that was me.
Yeah.
And you and others, but you especially speeded my journey up. Because I think I would have been another 5 to 10 years extra to where I'm at today just by knowing what you did and me avoiding some of the mistakes that you had talked about. So I tell everybody, get on Phil's side, look on there. Great group and a lot of good information. And that's the thing. I tell people, just get on any of those sites. Well, maybe the non-dogmatic ones. Put a group question there. You're going to get people that have actually experienced that. Like, we had somebody posted the other day about PCOS. Well, there was women on there. Hey, this is what happened. You got Dr. Nevada Gray and others that have been down at, different ones. So there's a lot of people out there that can help them out that have been down that path. And that does help out. That helps when somebody's actually been on that course.
Hugely. Absolutely hugely, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it blows me away. I mean, isn't it? It's lovely that what I like to do is the thought of creating people who are going to pay this forward. Because it's not difficult. They go through their journey and they're going to have such satisfaction. When you said that I'd helped you out, Dan, I had no idea that I did, man. And my heart just goes, that's beautiful. Because and the people that I've helped out, then you hear that they've helped other people out, and it's beautiful. That's how it works. That's how it traditionally worked. Not having to go through the Rockefeller Medical Institutes. Let's not get into that shite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pay it forward. Just be kind. I mean, be kind. Be generous. And it makes it's so good when you can. It makes you feel good. That's part of the healing too.
Yes,
giving it back is part of the healing. The gratitude and being able to helping somebody. You help them, yes, but it helps you probably as much or more than it does them.
Absolutely, yeah. And don't you find incredible depth of character in people who've come through illnesses? It's the fire. It's the fire they get forged in, isn't it?
Yeah. They're wonderful. So passionate. They're so passionate about helping others. Absolutely are. Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much, man. That was fun. Really enjoyed it. I think anyone new to this, anyone's going to listen to this chat and they're going to come up with a whole load more confidence, and that does my heart good too. I think we're going to help some people with that. So.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, that's what I want. But yeah, I really enjoy it. Thanks for inviting me here. Let's do it again sometime. I would enjoy. We go down some rabbit holes if you want.
Definitely, man. Definitely. There's loads more we've got to say, I'm sure. Thanks so much, Mark. Speak to you next time.
Anytime, Phil. Thank you. Have a good day.